deal with it.
It's just me moving my tongue around. You can really hear it. Your mouth goes out of frame, so it's a little worse.
You're still in your pajamas.
Yeah. This day has gotten away from me. All right, you ready? This is yours this time.
Give me a second. Did I already put on deodorant? I'm going to put on some more deodorant for the show.
I didn't put on any deodorant. I'm going to smell.
What do you use? The antiperspirant?
I use the same thing you have. It's like it's just deodorant.
Look at that hair stuck on it. Look at that. Can you see that? Can you see that?
I can. It looks blonde. Why is it so
Look at
light?
That long armpit hair that's stuck on my deodorant.
Do you have like weird different color pubes and armpit hair than your head?
I don't know. You want to look?
That's a fetish.
Armpit hair?
Yeah. Guys want to like smell other guys' armpits.
Can I tell you that I had a very long white hair growing out of my ear?
Was it a corn silk thing? Like, you know how you get these like random hairs that seem to come out overnight? Or was it an actual like legit hair?
It was legit hair and it was very long. I mean, this is what happens. You get older and the hair starts growing in your ear.
Especially for men. Why is that? Is that a testosterone thing? Is this going in the beginning of the show? The silence?
Yes. I was trying to do research. I was trying to do some quick research. Why do old people get so hairy? I think it's a discussion for another time.
Yeah, that's next week.
Old man hair.
Women get it. Women I started growing little whiskers. I call them my wise whiskers on my chin that I have to find and pluck every once in a while.
Ew, gross. You're going to miss one once, and in the right light, I'm going to see you. It's going to be very long.
Will you be a good friend and tell me?
Can I pull it?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
If you allow me to pluck the hair.
Sure.
I think I would get into that. Some people like popping zits on other people. I wouldn't do that.
No, I can't do that.
But pulling the hair from your chin.
My wise whiskers. Maybe I need to leave them in so that I'll gain wisdom.
You know what I would do? I would gently tug on it for a little bit so I could feel the tension. I could feel the connected hair to your face. That way it's even more satisfying when it releases from the follicle and it comes out. That's my fetish. Not just pulling hair. I need to feel the hair. I need to feel the connection to the person's body.
That's what people do. Those people with trichotillomania, they like the pop that when they pull out a hair out of their head. And then some people like eat the end of it. They like pop the like follicle like bulb thing at the end and so gross. People have problems. Okay.
I don't like the pop. I just like the release. It releases from the follicle. Oh.
Ew. It's grossing.
Take it
We
back.
should do an ASMR video about it.
Pull the hair.
Yeah.
Oh, feel it connected to the body. Oh, it doesn't want to let go. There's such tension with the hair attached to the scalp. A little more pressure. A little more. Oh, there it is.
It's like a JOI.
Look how much came out.
Ew. Why did you pull so much?
It's an accident. Maybe I'm going bald.
Wow.
If it's coming out that easily. Now what do I do with it? I don't want to throw it on the floor and contribute to more dust bunnies.
You have to put it in the trash.
Terrible name because it makes it sound cute and it's very disgusting. I think a little pet dust bunny would be a nice creature
I feel
to
bad
keep.
throwing away my dust bunnies. Oh, I don't want to kill them.
All right. Let's
3.
do it. 2.
Where are the beeps?
Beep. 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 Oh, that was my heart monitor. Dead.
Okay, ready. Welcome to One Topic, where we try and stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
And my name is Greg Russ.
And this week's is Greg's train. He's driving the train. Choo-choo.
I always did want to be an engineer of a locomotive. I thought it'd be a cool job. Still to this day, I think about being a motorman in the subway system in New York.
Ooh. Doesn't it seem pretty boring? Like you would just be sitting up there?
I would love it. I don't know what the best line is. I assume that you start in one of the lesser lines, like the shuttle that just goes back and forth between Grand Central and Times Square. And then you work your way up to maybe the longest one that goes into, maybe Coney Island where you're above ground some of the time. That would be nice.
But isn't it run by itself basically and you just kind of slow it down or?
Some of them. This system is so outdated. It's not up to speed like the current
okay.
Systems in better cities. And yeah, I think there's still some driving that goes on. I don't know. I don't think it's a respectable job in some people's minds, but I would love it. You're helping people get to work.
Yeah.
And if you got the long trip, maybe you just take 4 round trips every day, and that's your shift.
That's true. It's kind of like taking a road trip.
Hey, I'm supposed to introduce the topic. You're the one who threw us off track. It was just a little aside before the
off track.
Yeah, there you go. That wasn't
on
meant.
purpose?
No, it wasn't. I'm not that good at punnery. Today's topic. Today's topic, as you've already revealed, road trips. Which I didn't even go on a road trip. I just thought of you and your road trip and how I haven't been on a road trip in a while. It's been over a year, and that was more of a I need to get home immediately trip because my flight was canceled. For no other reason than I don't want to be in Atlanta anymore. I have nowhere to be in New York. I got to leave. So
I don't think was it actually canceled, your flight, or did you just worry that it would be because of the hurricane?
Well, I mean,
I think it was the hurricane.
No, there was a nor'easter that wasn't snowy. It was just windy. So they canceled all the flights, and we had done a live lounge. This was March of 2018. We'd done a live lounge. In the middle of the show, I think I found out my flight was canceled, which just ruined my mood. I didn't know where to go. It was a Friday. I just wanted to get... I was out of town at that point for like a week and a half, and I just wanted to get home. So I rented a car and drove straight through. But...
How long did it take you?
Oh, I made great time. I think I left 3 in the afternoon, and I was home by 5, in my bed by 5 a.m.
Wow.
And we can get into some of the logistics of that drive.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was maybe not a speed record, but it was a good time. I was pretty proud of that.
Yeah, how many hours is that?
That's 15 hours.
15, okay.
So, I don't know. It was just something I thought about you driving. The drive to your home to Atlanta was what?
So with the kids, we drove. I know, it makes a big difference.
It makes a huge... Oh, my God, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it.
So, on the map, I think it's 9 hours and 47 minutes. On the way down, it took us 11. And then on the way up, it took 10 hours and 15 minutes, I think. So the way up was faster. I think because we didn't hit as much traffic or road construction. And on the way back, I took a more scenic route. So we went around like closer to Roanoke. Because when you just go 95 to 85, which is what we did when we came down, I think it's more direct, but it's not as pretty. You don't get to go through the mountains or anything. So, but on the way back up, because we took that scenic route, we went through these really intense fog areas that was basically just clouds. We were just going through super dense clouds, and it was really scary, but it was just in the right time of the trip where it was intense, so it was kind of exciting. So it really sort of broke up the trip, because you just get bored just driving. And because it was kind of scary, it made it a little exciting. And
were you driving at that point?
I'm always driving.
Wow. Your husband, Travis, doesn't drive.
He does drive, and obviously he can drive, but he gets like hypnotized by the road with these long trips, and he gets really sleepy. And he also, I feel like, and maybe this is just a control thing, but I feel like he's not driving as efficiently, like I would be, if I were driving, then I would be going faster. And if I were driving, I would have made sure to get past this group of cars because I like plan ahead on the road where I want to be and what's happening so that I can, avoid being behind or whatever. And so it's probably just, irrational control issue. But I feel like when I drive, we'll get there more quickly and we'll make better time and stuff like that. And so I like to drive, and I can drive for longer.
You're in a modern marriage. Remember when it used to be the women weren't allowed to drive? The husband, I do the driving. You stay in that passenger seat. Don't you dare even ask me if you can drive. I'm going to smoke my cigarettes with the windows up.
Well, there's a little bit of that left because a lot of times I'll drive and Travis will be in the passenger seat while the kids or something. And we came home the other day and there was a neighbor who's a dude, who's a husband. And Travis was joking that he was going to get out of the car and say something like, like start limping or something. So it looked like the reason why he couldn't drive wasn't because he didn't want to or because I'm in some sort of masculine role, but because he couldn't for some reason, he couldn't fulfill his masculine duty to drive the family.
Grounds for divorce. How can a man who can't drive you places take care of you and protect you?
Yeah, you're right. Gosh, you're right.
Get out of there now.
Maybe we should have a lawyer sponsor so I can get a free divorce.
In my notes for this show, I did put Roanoke on there, 81, because you live in Maryland and you just drove to Atlanta. For anyone who doesn't know what the hell's going on, Autumn took a trip to Atlanta. She drove back, and I live in New York, and I've taken that trip to Atlanta many times driving, and 95 is just boring, and the traffic is awful. Like there's the Northeast Corridor where you go through the cities. So, I mean, you can bypass Philadelphia, but from New York, like you kind of go past Philadelphia, and then you get Baltimore, Washington, and then there's just that stretch through for Virginia and North Carolina.
Yeah, so boring.
Nothing. There's nothing going on. At one point, I was looking for a hotel driving to Atlanta, and I think it drove an additional hour and a half until anything came up, an exit that had to hotels. And once you got there, they were all filled because it was the only place, and the only hotel that was open was the America's Best Value Inn. And they gave me a room, and there was empty beer cans scattered about.
No.
Yeah, it was disgusting. I slept in my clothes on top of the cover. Well, I ripped off the bed cover, but then it didn't get into the sheets. And, I wouldn't walk on the floor barefoot. It was that kind of place. I don't know.
Yikes.
That's just an aside. That's a good place to speed. I think there's a lot of speed traps on that stretch, but I forget, like every so often, between the two sides of 95 where it's split, northbound and southbound, there's trees, and then there are cut-throughs, and that's where the cops like to hide.
Right.
So you just fly. I'm going to go 90 miles per hour until you see one of those cut-throughs coming up, and then you slow it down, then you speed up.
Don't you feel like when you're on a road trip that you should be allowed to be going faster than the normal speed limit?
Yeah, I think a lot of these speed limits, I know that they're there for the protection and safety of people. I do believe that. I also think they're set intentionally low with the idea that people are going to speed, and also their money-making
Sure.
Endeavors. That does play into it.
That's ridiculous. That's a whole nother thing, but bring back the policeman's ball, so that we don't have to, so it isn't the job of the police department to make money for, I don't know, their station or whatever. It's just, why can't we just donate the money or just run efficiently on what they're paid through taxes?
Well, yes, I agree with you. And I know that they need alternate. It does pose problems. Let's just leave it at that. When the police officer's job and they say there are no quotas, though there are quotas, we know that there are quotas involved. Mm-hmm. They're not bringing in enough money and they can get in some kind of trouble. Yeah, that changes the whole nature and description of the job. I think
to protect and serve.
I think with driving, especially like you said, in rural, desolate areas where it's relatively straight stretches of road, and if there's low traffic, there should be just some discretion involved. Yeah. Seemingly with the police officer. If it's you and a couple other cars on the road and you're not weaving, you're just in the left lane and you're going 90 miles per hour, but it's relatively safe. The conditions call for such speeds, and you're not being an idiot. I don't see why you can get a lot of trouble for that.
I feel like if you have, I wish, and I think this for a lot of things, like if there could be some sort of special light that you have on cars that says you are traveling, and maybe if a cop sees you all the time and you're always the same person pretending that you're traveling, then you'd get pulled over and you get a ticket or something.
Yeah, I think that would be abused. People would turn that light on quite often.
I don't know how you'd enforce it, but I just feel like people who are on a road trip who are traveling these long distances. They've got hours behind them and hours ahead of them still to go. They should be able to safely speed.
Yeah, but that light actually, I know what you're saying. That light should be like, hey, leave that person alone. They're just on a trip. Mm-hmm. No, that would call attention to you and probably get you a ticket, because I think the cops like out-of-state cars registrations, because they know the people aren't from around there and they're not going to fight it. They'll just end up paying the fine. Because you're not going to, if I'm driving from New York to Atlanta and I get pulled over in Virginia, I'm not making a trip to Virginia to fight the ticket. It's like, that's not happening. Yeah, so It's like, here you go. Here's your fine. Leave me alone. So I think that would backfire. But
I was going
to say that trip through Roanoke is very pretty. If you detour to 81 and you go that route, I enjoy it.
That's what we did. We went on 81. We were like business 85 and then 81 or something.
I dated someone once who didn't want to take that route because she thought there weren't enough hospitals around in case something bad happened. She wanted to stay on 95.
Hospitals?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. We got in a fight over it.
But doesn't that sound something that you could sort of justify, but not with this example, but in some other realm?
What realm?
I don't know exactly. I just feel like you would at least understand that type of thinking.
I mean, I guess I could. No, I can't understand that type of thinking.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. Let's say something did happen and it took a while. Then I could understand that type of thinking. I guess going in, it's like, no, nothing's going to happen. So, some flawed thinking probably on my part too. But I wanted to take that because I thought it'd be a nicer drive and we could enjoy that together.
Definitely.
I was like, no, there's not enough hospitals on that route. I've mapped them. I was like, you've mapped the hospitals? You're so insanely worried that something awful is going to happen, which, yes, it could happen. Okay.
Who was it? Tell me who it was.
I don't want to tell you who it was.
Come on.
No.
Jan.
You can probably guess.
Marcia.
It was someone who, this isn't what the show's about. It's not about my exes at this point.
It's not about gossip?
No, but that became a point of contention. Then we ended up taking 95 and sitting in traffic.
Ooh.
All that traffic. They're always doing. It's perpetual construction.
When you're right about something like that and you're stuck in it, it really just burns even more. Because if it was, even if you'd gotten in an accident on 95, that would hurt less, I think, to your ego than sitting in traffic and it being boring and it being the other way that you didn't want to go.
Oh,
right?
I pointed it out. I'm past that. I think I've grown past that kind of thing because that's just stirring shit for no reason. And it's like, all right, now I'm going to rub it in your face. But at the time, yeah, I surely brought it up. And I think it was like, don't do this. Don't just shut up. And I kept pushing it.
Yeah. Were you being playful or were you being like?
No, I was annoyed because I hate that drive. Yeah. I get so tired of that drive. There is just perpetual construction and traffic.
Yes. One lane closed. Yeah.
Which people don't listen to the show just on the East Coast. Most people do. Most people in Georgia. Surprisingly, the numbers in New York are higher than I would think. But, just imagine Roanoke, beautiful drive, wherever you live, and think
hills, beautiful, rolling, tumbling green hills.
Yeah, and then think about the most congested route you could take, and that's what 95 would be.
So do you like road trips in general?
I was thinking about that going into the show because they're romanticized, right?
Yes.
There's this, especially in American car culture, and taking the cross-country trip, which I've never done. I've never taken a trip for the sake of the road trip. There's always a destination getting somewhere. And in saying that, no, I don't think I really enjoy the road trip. I think I find it to be relatively boring.
But you do love... I would have thought that you would have said yes, that you do like them. And that ties into you liking to take the train from New York to Atlanta.
Well, that's different. Example. The train, you can move around. You're not driving the train. You've got some freedom to get up, go get some food. And if you do the sleeper car, which I do recommend. I mean, Amtrak is trash for the most part, but taking a sleeper car is nice. You get your meals included with that.
Yeah.
So you go to the cafe car and you just sit down and you tell them which sleeper you're in. And they're like, all right, here you go. Here's your food.
Is it less expensive than flying, or is it more?
No, it's more expensive. Even if you don't get the sleeper. The cheapest I ever found that, this is a rail trip. It's close enough to a road trip. $312 was the cheapest I found.
Total?
One way for the sleeper car, and I paid that because it was an experience. I was like, this is something I've never done, and I want to do it. Yeah. So it's going to be, and that's the low price. Usually they're $500, and then normal tickets, if you just want to sit and coach on the train for 17 hours from New York to Atlanta, that's like 144 is the cheapest I saw, which you can surely find plane tickets for that price.
Yeah, and you're there in an hour and a half.
Yeah, and people wonder why Amtrak's failing.
It's failing because they can't afford it without making the tickets cost a lot of money, right?
Yeah, I mean, they get a lot of government subsidies, but it's just not enough. I wish they would invest more in rail travel, but it is a big country here. It is different than European countries, where it makes more sense, I think, to put rails across your country because it's just easier to do.
Well, it takes 3 hours to get across England, right? Or 4 hours to get across the entire country versus.
You were there. You had a road trip in England, right?
We had a rail trip in England.
Oh,
yeah.
It was rail. You didn't drive. We can make this rail trip too.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's included. So, before we go on to the rail trips, I think I like road trips for a couple different reasons. But I also don't like road trips for a couple of different reasons. Like, I like afterwards sort of the pride that you get from making good time. I love it feels like a very old man thing. Like, we're making great time.
I love the time. This is why when you said the kids being with you, I was like, oh no, if I'm with a person that I need to pee, nothing annoys me more than that on a road trip. I'm like, no, you're going to kill the time. This is such a wonderful time.
I know. So with kids, we add an hour to the trip. Whatever the map says, you have to add an hour because you stop for weird reasons. Like, we just stopped and you said you didn't have to pee and now you do have to pee and we have to stop again. Or just, getting them out of the car and stretching their legs and stuff. You got to get them out. So add an hour to the trip. And so when I feel like I'm making good time, it's really just... Okay, so let's say it says we're going to get there by 7:15, and then we stop a couple times, and once we get back in the car, it says, okay, now your trip is, it says your ETA is 7:34, right? I'm excited when I'm driving when I make up those minutes so that the next time we stop, it says 7:21.
Which means you're speeding. You're putting your children at risk. There's children in the car, you're speeding.
No, I'm good. I'm a good driver. Like, even though I've had a lot of accidents.
Those were in the past. I've learned from those accidents.
No, I'm a pretty good driver. Even truckers, like, they know I let the truckers in and then they get over. Do you know a secret thing that truckers do? The way that they say thank you?
How? What?
They hit their emergency lights, their blinkers. They just hit those for a couple beats. So it's like double blink, double blink, double blink, and then they turn them off. So when you do something nice for the truckers, they do that little blink at you. And so when I want to thank a trucker, I do the double blink. And this is what this maybe goes back to the previous episode where I imagine that I'm, very seen by everyone. And so I feel like the truckers talk to each other and say like, yeah, that Kia's coming. Like, she's a good, like, let her in. Don't block her. You know how like truckers sometimes block people in? Like, yes. They refuse to move back over even though they have room in front of the truck behind, whatever. I feel like I never, ever get that. And I think it's because I'm a courteous driver to truckers.
And all the trucks on the road know you, so they won't box you in. I think sometimes they don't get back over is because they see ahead and it's, getting those things up to speed and the number of gears. They just look ahead and like, all right, I want to pass that truck before I get back over to the right. But, this ties into our last show and you thinking that you're in your own show constantly.
Right.
Where the
Listen, it's half of me believes that's not true.
Wouldn't it be something?
The other half makes me feel good. Like, maybe it is true. And so I like to live in that and it's not harming anyone. And I don't walk around thinking like truckers really know who I am, but I just imagine it and it feels nice.
Wouldn't it be something if you were right and it's all simulation and you're the star of it? It's not even like the Truman Show. It's just a simulation that someone's running on their computer and they're the only one watching it. Maybe they don't even always watch it. They just come back sometimes to check in.
And that's when I notice. For some reason, I'm on the wavelength of when they check in.
When the screen turns on.
Yeah.
I'm sure the truckers appreciate it. Driving those things is no easy task.
No, and people are grouchy with truckers.
Well, a trucker puts on his turn signal and you floor it. You're like, no way. You're not
See,
getting.
I don't do that. I flash my lights. I'm like, come on over.
You're not getting in front of me.
I mean, unless I'm in the way, and then I zoom out of the way.
Yeah,
But
you
I
give
let
them
them in. I let them in when we merge. I'm courteous when I merge. I blink my lights at them to say thank you for letting me in front of you.
I mean, that is the proper way to drive. If you're just somewhat courteous. If everyone followed those same rules with merging, especially.
Fucking zipper, everybody. Fuck, it's a zipper.
They don't
I know no one wants to zip. No, you're not. No.
Down south in Atlanta, that is the worst.
Yes.
Here in New York, the traffic's bad, and I don't drive that often. But the merging here, people do zipper. It's like it's just understood, and nobody gets angry about it. When you make the traffic worse, when you're flooring it and tailgating the car in front of you, so the car merging can't get in front of you, it just slows everything up.
I get it if you've let someone in just now, and you don't want to let a second person in front of you.
Yeah,
I
because
get that.
then they're breaking the rule.
Yes, zipper. Everyone listening, fucking zipper.
And especially with trucks, though, if with them, I know they're slow and they get in front of you, and that can be annoying. But because those things are big lumbering vehicles, I think if you're keeping them from riding the brakes and slowing down and going back to first gear from 15th gear, it's probably a helpful thing. You ever stop at truck stops when you're driving?
Yes.
They're so weird.
They are so weird. There's like showers.
That's the one thing I do like with road trip. It's weird because I don't have a car. I haven't had a car now for 11 years. Mm-hmm. And I do enjoy driving because it's a rare thing for me now. But on the long road trip, I'm not a big fan. I get bored. But when I do have to stop, I make sure it's worth stopping. And it's definitely a truck
Yeah, you stop at a Love's.
those Loves. You can get everything you need there. A whole new wardrobe, a crystal skull.
Yeah, panini press for your car.
You ever shower at one of those?
No.
I guess for you as a woman, it would be strange. I haven't either. I've thought about it. Because I don't know. I don't know the way it works. It's not open stalls, right?
I would imagine it being like a gym. Not from like the 80s where everyone's just naked in front of each other, but like stalls with a curtain and
So there's a locker room of sorts.
Yeah, a locker room.
Where some of the truckers are modest and they don't, want to show their wangs. And the other ones walk around.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is like a door. Maybe it's more like just like a big bathroom where there's a shower in there. I don't know.
Even though comment that I just used the word wang.
I just immediately pictured naked truckers.
It just hasn't
you couldn't even see their wang because their panis hung over the front of themselves.
And just hasn't been used in my world in a while. Wang computers. What an unfortunate name that they had. Yeah, but the fat
dink. Have you ever heard of dink? That's a Canadian word, dink for penis.
What's the fat flap that covers the wang?
Panis.
Yeah, it's too much of that beef jerky.
Mm-hmm. They're just feeling their ass grow as they drive. That was from The Simpsons. You just sit back and feel your ass grow. That's what I always think when truckers are truckers. I think, man, how do you not just get your ass big? I wish I could. I wish I have seen like the beds of the truck. What are those little compartments in the truck?
The cabs where they sleep.
Yeah.
Sleeper.
Because some people trick them out.
Oh yeah, they can become incredible.
Yeah, I want to see more of that. I wish there was more information about what that looked like.
Some of those are bigger than New York City apartments. They have refrigerators. They've got the sleeping area. They got their whole entertainment system set up.
Yeah.
That's the part I like. And then they pull into the truck stops and they can attach to air conditioning units so they don't need to idle their truck.
Oh, really?
The really fancy ones. Yeah, you just kind of attach. I don't know whatever the fee is to spend the night there.
Right.
And then you got the hardcore guys who just sleep on the side of the road. They'll pull their truck over.
Yeah. Or they'll find a Walmart.
Yeah. There's big. It's true. just that a Walmart's a beacon for sleep for some people. I've never thought of a Walmart that way.
Yeah, you're allowed to use their parking lots.
Well, they're huge.
Yeah, that's where like RV people go to sleep. So something Travis pointed out about RVs is that they all after a certain year that they were made, they're all made with swoops and swooshes on the side. Every RV has these like swoopy swooshes going across.
You're talking about decals.
I don't think they're decals.
That's kind of painted on the side?
Yeah. It's just like the design of the RV. They all have that. I don't know what that is, but they're all swoops and swooshes.
It's an aesthetic illusion because they're big boxy vehicles.
Yeah.
We'll put a swoosh on there and it'll make a little...
aerodynamic. Look at it go. It's flying.
Yeah, it's going to be more appealing to the eye, like a curvy lady instead of a boxy man.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, so I like road trips for all those reasons. I like stopping at the gas stations. I like to get out of state scratcher tickets. It's one of my favorite things to do. I feel like calories don't count when you're on a road trip somehow.
They should count more, but they don't.
They should, but you feel like, well, I have to snack.
Yeah, you're covering a lot of ground here. Let's talk about that for a second, because you are sitting in a car and you're not really expending any calories.
But you're so snacky.
Do you get meals? Do you stop for meals, or you just eat the stuff you get at the gas station?
No. Well, yesterday when we were traveling, we ate a little bit of a breakfast before we left, and then we had a ton of snacks, and really just ate at like 6 p.m. Because we had so many snacks and stuff in the car. But once we ate dinner, I felt so much better. We were on the, almost 11th hour of our trip. We didn't make it to 11 hours, thank goodness, but we were deep into the trip, and I was like, I feel like if we had to keep going, I could do it. I think I could do it. I don't want to. I'm happy that we're 30 minutes away from the house, but I think I could do it. And yeah, so I think the actual food really helped. And I like those ideas about road trips. But then the actual sitting in your car and like kind of being uncomfortable, and you kind of on your butt, and you like switch sides of your butt, so like the other side is taking more of the weight than the other, and the shifting around, and your legs are tired, and like I like to drive sometimes with my knee up, with my left knee up, and obviously my right foot on the brake and the gas. But then once you've been driving for so long, you put it on cruise control and you put your other leg up, and you're not going to be able to hit the pedals as easily with your left foot because you're not trained to do that. So I always think this is dangerous.
It is a bit dangerous with cruise control too. You set it, and then you get the asshole who's in the left lane driving much slower than they should be. And I hate braking with cruise control because it turns it off. And I know you can just turn it back on with the press a button, and it'll go back to the speed.
Yeah, but they broke your cruise. I get it.
So sometimes though, and this is even more work, but I refuse to hit the brake, so I press the cruise control down speed button a lot of times.
I don't like that. It's too jerky.
It is jerky, but it really annoys me that I don't want to touch the pedals, because there's a game I play, How Long Can I Drive? You got to distract yourself on these things.
Yes, you do.
You know that, Autumn. Yeah, that person who just gets in the left lane, though, which is another thing that you realize in this country. I went to Germany once.
Yeah.
And the rules there, everyone's like, the Autobahn, no speed limits. There's speed limits in urban areas. But you get to the stretches where it is safe, like we were talking about earlier, there are no speed limits. But what they will pull you over for, if you're in the left lane, it's only for passing. If you get in that lane and you block traffic, or if you're even in the middle lane and you're going slower than the right lane, you get fined, you can get pulled over. And they're actually very high, these fines. But it works so well.
And isn't it that they have to renew their license, and they have to retake tests and things more often? At all?
I don't know that. I mean, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how easy it is to get a driver's license and here.
Yeah.
And I you tell me as a 16-year-old you're not getting your license, I'd throw a fit. But I do realize now, wow, you're young. You're a stupid kid at 16.
I think, I wish that more people knew that. I mean, everyone says, the left lane's for passing, but some people just like camp out there and just go whatever speed, and then are annoyed by you trying to, I'm going the speed limit. No, that's not the point. The point is that you need to be in the right lane, and people just hang out in that left lane going too slow, and then are maybe, I don't know, making some sort of stand by staying in the left lane because I'm going to the speed limit. I don't have to get over. No, get over. I'm going faster than you.
There's some.
Let me get a ticket. Just part the C so that I can get a ticket. If that's the way you want to think about it, I'm going faster than you. Get over.
I think there's ego involved with that. Sometimes they're just old people and they're not paying attention, maybe.
Yes.
But I do think a lot of the times it's a big fuck you to people. It's like, oh, you want to go fast in this lane and you're going to come up on my ass? I'm just going to continue and I'm not going to get out of your way.
And I'm going to slow down.
It's like you're not giving anything up. You're not losing. You shouldn't be losing pride if a person passes you. But I do feel like some people, it's like admitting defeat if they get back over to the right lane. So the idiot who may be speeding much faster than they should be driving wants to get past you, but whatever. Why does that concern you? That's their thing.
I guess it's a submission, right?
Yeah, and there's... What is it? That's what it is, but why does this weigh so heavily on people's minds? It just goes back to, not just following basic rules of driving. And it's like, no, and I can't let you get in front of me. Or if you're trying to get over into another lane and the car sees you put on your turn signal, it's as I said with the semi-trucks.
Merging.
Yeah, they'll speed up.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of times you want to get over. It's like, all right, I'm not going to turn on my turn signal because I know what's going to happen. You're going to speed up and close that gap. So I'm just going to last second, turn signal over. Because it just feeds into this animalistic crap with a lot of people. And the road rage that it can... You got to be careful, too. People's road rage.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of road rage. I do get annoyed, even though I just was yelling. I don't get road rage. I do get annoyed by people not knowing how to drive, and not in the way that like I know how to drive and I'm the best driver, but just simple rules like what we're saying. Left lane's for passing. Right lane is where you're supposed to just sort of live until you need to move around someone and then go in the left lane.
Do you yell? If let's say the kids weren't in the car.
Yeah, I've yelled with the kids in the car.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you yelling?
What the fuck are you doing?
It's just such a unique environment. Yeah.
You're enclosed and I think I've heard about this too, where in life when you're walking towards someone and let's say you do that weird little dance where you're like trying to get out of each other's way, but then you step in the same direction and you can't avoid each other. Like, oh, sorry. And even if it's even more slight than that, you make tiny little eye contacts with people just to sort of let them know that you see them and that you're sorry and you're moving. There's way more to face-to-face interactions than we think are happening. And that's especially evident when you're in the car because you're totally surrounded by glass and metal and you can, blah, yell at a pedestrian walking by that you would never talk like that if you were just in person accidentally getting in someone's way, or yelling at another car who's also enclosed in their car and they're yelling at you. People don't do that in real life and when they accidentally, slight the other in person. It's like, oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry. You know what I mean? It's
not as much. It does happen. I see it on the subway here, but not nearly as much. What you're saying is definitely true. It does. It's kind of like the internet in a way.
Yes.
You're not as faceless, but you are surrounded and enclosed in this little capsule. Mm-hmm. So it does make you feel a bit protected.
Yeah.
And the screen, my big thing, my go-to is, so you just yell, fuck you about it. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? I think that's my phrase that I like throwing out there. Almost immediately. And like it comes back again. I don't drive that often and then I do. And and you're enclosed. But I swear there's been times people, some with their window down or something, they've heard me. Those are not soundproof capsules. And someone, not the person I was yelling at, but like someone else. And I saw them looking at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you flip people off when you're driving?
I did once. And this is just driving. Now it's not necessarily a road trip, but it was after Katrina hit. And remember the gas scare that was going on in Atlanta? And everyone was lining up to get gas. And that was creating such awful traffic. Northside Drive. I was on Northside Drive. I was trying to get to Deering because I lived on Peachtree at the time, 1660 Peachtree. And there's a car that I don't think the car would let me in, and there was this battle going on, and I finally got in front of the car because all the traffic. So everyone was annoyed. I bring up that because half the road was blocked, the gas station there. People were trying to get in. We weren't trying to get gas, but the car wouldn't let me in, and then I got in, and I flipped the car off. Turns out the person lived in my building. They followed me all the way. Like, I thought maybe are they following me now?
Yeah.
But there was a gate there, and the gate closed. I made sure that I waited so the gate would
Right.
close just in case, and then they drove into. So I didn't see them. I think they parked on a different level. But, so that was that's a lesson. I was like, yeah, you never know who you're flipping off. And if that was someone who,
Like, oh, that's my neighbor.
oh, hi, sorry, I'm just very. It's this level of frustration, and we're all in that together, though. I wish that was the approach more often. It's like, look, we're all in this crap
Yeah,
together.
yeah. Like that didn't really count. We were in a high stress situation.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, no, I don't. And it all stopped on this day when I was driving in Lawrenceville and I was on Five Forks Trickham. Was it Five Forks Trickham?
Yes.
Sugarloaf. I was on Sugarloaf Parkway.
Oh, yeah, that's what I
and-
meant, Sugarloaf.
Everybody pay attention. It's Sugarloaf. And there's a part of Sugarloaf that's real windy. And so it's like a racetrack. And I was driving there and this person cut me off or something. And I flipped them off. And I didn't really even, it was more like I was dipping my toe into like, am I the kind of driver who will flip someone off? I'm going to flip this person off, And so I flipped them off. And then, oh no. Okay. So I drove up beside them and made sure that that they could see me, and it was a girl, and I flipped her off, and she looked like surprised at me, and she's like, fuck you, like she flipped me back off. And then we're driving together on the windy road, and I start to reconsider what I did, and I felt bad. And so I went back up next to her, and I waved to her. I was like, I'm sorry. And she waved to me too. She's like, I'm sorry too. We went along our way.
I mean, that's ultimately what it is. It's a moment of just being so frustrated, and you
Yeah.
act out, again, for the reasons you stated, in real life. Well, that is real life, but, if you were just face to face with
in
the person, you probably wouldn't do it. Again, some people would, but, yeah, and then you immediately feel like an idiot, like an asshole.
Yeah, I didn't need to. And then I really hope that she tells this story the same way I do, and she remembers me, because I will never forget that little interaction. It was like the sweetest thing, and I felt like I'm not, connected to being like I'm a woman and other women. I never think in those terms, but in that instance, I always think like, yay, girls are nice. Like I don't think I could do that to a guy. I
No,
feel like
you
it wouldn't have, I don't know, the same sort of feeling afterwards.
You wouldn't apologize?
No, I think I would have, but
I understand what you're saying, but
yeah, she was just so sweet. Like, oh, I'm sorry too. Maybe she was feeling the same way I was. Like, man, that was weird.
Do you think she tells the same story, except because you initiated both? You flipped off first, then you apologized. Do you think
Yeah.
she's just taken the story but changed it a bit, saying that she apologized first?
I don't think she would do that. I know her, and she wouldn't do that
Such
to
a
me.
nice lady.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the road trip part of it.
Yes.
I don't know, what's the longest you've driven?
I drove from Atlanta to a key. It was Islamorada, one of the keys in Florida. I think that was the farthest. Let's look it up and see how far that is. It was really long, and I drove through the night. We left in the evening, and I drove through the night, and I had gone a little crazy, as you do, and my boyfriend was like sleeping, and because again, I was driving, and we made it through a ton of Florida. Oh, and then we started getting into like the marshy parts of Florida, and I thought it was the sun was coming up, and it was the landscape was so different, and I just felt like, and my boyfriend was sleeping. I don't know, there was something about that and my second wind was kicking in. It all just felt so good. I felt so proud, and I felt like maybe how people feel when they're traveling abroad and they have some sort of experience in India or something. I just had that little, like this clarity and this really, it just felt really good. Like I was an explorer or something.
Well, yeah, it's territory you haven't been to before,
Yeah.
right?
And I got us there,
And driving in the night, honestly, I do enjoy that. When I say even driving back to New York a year ago where I just drove straight through, when it was daytime, I couldn't stand it. But when it became night, I enjoy it a bit more. And on longer road trips, I used to look for coast to coast. I would scan the radio stations and find coast to coast. Then you get out of the transmitting area of a radio station, you have to find it again. But that was a thing I really enjoyed doing, driving through the middle of the night, listening to coast with Art Bell was still hosting it at that point, listening to the stories about like chupacabras and shadow
Yeah.
people, ghosts, and orbs. And people.
Those orbs that people take in pictures.
Oh yeah, those are the best.
Yeah.
It's like a speck of dust that was illuminated by the flash on the camera.
Nope. It's a spirit.
Look at this orb. I got a good picture of an orb here.
So going to Almirada, I think was not that long, actually. It felt longer, I think, because I drove through the night and it was so weird to drive that far. Like driving to Miami is super long, and then driving past Miami felt even crazier. But then Atlanta to Wisconsin, which we have done, is like 12 and a half hours.
You've never gone farther west than Wisconsin? Never done the cross country?
No, I've never driven. I think that Wisconsin is like the farthest I've driven west. And then I guess my parents, I've been on road trips that have been long, but I was a kid. But yeah, so I think the farthest that I personally have gone on a road trip is like probably 13 hours. Oh, and then when you drive to Wisconsin, the time changes. And so on your thing, it says like, you'll be there at 5 p.m., but then it hits 5 p.m. on your clock, and then it says 4 p.m. on your phone. You're like, fuck, I thought I was almost there, and you got a whole nother hour to go.
Yeah, they got you with that one.
Yeah.
I think the cross-country road trip obviously has had a lot of appeal for people. And I can see that at that point, the trip is the point.
Yeah, maybe it's different because cross-country immediately, I think, blah, no, that seems too long. But then maybe if it's because, maybe because you're not trying to get to a specific place as soon as you can so that you can start there. You've already started. You're in the car. So maybe taking the scenic route is nicer, and you're not you're not trying as hard.
And maybe not trying to make time.
Yeah.
And it is
you can stop if you want. Hey, there's an antique place because we're going the scenic way. You want to stop there? Okay.
That's what I think. That's what it is. The journey. And if you're going to take a road trip, and if you got the time to actually enjoy the trip, a lot of people stop and they eat the same chain restaurant, like Cracker Barrel, for example.
Yeah.
It's a big one. The Roy Rogers. You ever go to the Roy Rogers?
I haven't, but there are Roy Rogers here.
What a weird thing, by the way.
Yeah.
A roast beef place named after Roy Rogers, the musician, which I actually, the backstory for some reason, it used to be called like Robies, but Arby's sued them because it sounded too close to Arby's. And so so just roast beef. Robies. That's good. Roast beef, Robies.
Do you know Arby's is an acronym?
For?
America's roast beef, yes, or something. America's best roast beef, yes.
I did not know that.
Something like that.
But yeah, then Roy Rogers, they called Roy Rogers after they were sued, like, hey, you want to attach your name to this? And apparently, like, he was already looking to attach his name to a restaurant, and he said yes, and he did appearances.
Wow.
So there was a licensing fee, but he also did appearances.
I don't know what a Roy Rogers is.
I think it's mostly Northeast Mid-Atlantic. Maybe it goes, I don't know how west it goes, but that's part of the thing. But the point is, if you stop, you go into a town, you eat somewhere there at a restaurant, a locally owned restaurant, you kind of look around the town. That I could enjoy, I could get into, because that's, you're exploring, you're experiencing new things. There's not a destination in mind that you want to get to as quick as possible.
Right.
So surely, yes, I think there are road trips.
Yeah, so the drive becomes some sort of like just the extra part of traveling that's not part of the trip.
I mean, that is it is the trip.
It's like a job that you have to do before you get to go have fun.
Oh, you're talking about when you're trying to get somewhere, yes.
Yeah.
It is a totally different, meaning attached to it.
Yeah.
Which it is interesting. Let's say that driverless cars do come in to play. All this.
Then that'll be the dream. That'll be like taking a train.
Yeah,
but cheaper.
I guess so. But all of this goes away. So here I am talking about how I don't like the trips, but we do romanticize the long road trip. And if you're doing it for the sake of the trip, actually driving the car, you look at your car when you're filling up for gas, and it's like your trusty horse, and you're like, you're doing a good job, boy. You're doing a good job. And it's like that's feeding it. Like sometimes I think about that. It's like, yeah, if this were a horse, we'd be stopping. I'd be giving it some carrots right now, some hay,
some oats.
yeah, But it's like, all right, gonna feed you now.
You're going to brush it?
Yeah,
And that's
my-
like you cleaning the windshield?
Exactly. And so there's a weird connection that you have with your car because it's the car that's getting you places. It's not quite the same as bonding with the horse because I think the horse could have some appreciation for you at that point.
Right.
Like the car doesn't give a shit. But that could all go away if we have these driverless cars, and that is kind of a shame.
Do you have a particular snack that you like to have on a road trip?
No, but
Like I have to have pizza flavor combos.
oh, you know what? I do. This is the only time I buy zero bars
Oh, interesting.
when I travel. Not necessarily even driving, but I don't buy.
What's in a zero bar? I see it, but I don't think I've ever gotten one.
It's like the white chocolate with a nougat, but
Ew.
the nougat's a different color than a nougat in a chocolate bar. It's like they want some brown, so they make the nougat darker.
Ew.
No, they're
White chocolate?
They're very
and
good.
nougat?
They're very good.
All right.
You got to give it a go. I think the driving though is when I try the weird things. Like I like Pringles, but then you see Pringles Ranch. It's like I would never buy that, but for some reason in the car, it's like yes, this is the time to try. I'm adventurous right now. Give me the
Yeah.
Pringles Ranch.
I like to get beef jerky, not like Slim Jim, but like
Actual
ahead
beef.
of time. Yeah, when you go to the store and you get real beef jerky. I'm talking about like Target, that matte red and beige bag of beef jerky. I'm not trying to say like I get all organic bison from the organic store.
And then your jaw gets tired because you eat so much of it, and it's so difficult to chew.
But then it takes up a lot of time, and you're not just eating. So I feel like snacking on a trip really helps break up the monotony of that you're just driving, because now you're driving, but you're also like working on something. Like that beef jerky. And also I like to find like the softer pieces. So I'll make sure that if I have the hard piece, I don't put it back in the bag. I like have to eat the hard piece so that I can get to this. It's like a reward. There's a lot of little games. I like popcorn on the road.
Oh no, it's too messy, Autumn. That would fall over the place.
I know, but I like it.
So if you drop a piece of popcorn while driving, that doesn't drive you insane?
Nah.
Because if it were me, I'd have to pick it up. I wouldn't want it stuck between the seat, which then creates danger.
Oh, and then you accidentally accelerate because you're leaning down to find the popcorn, and then you're too close to the car in front of you, and then you have to brake suddenly, and you've broken your what's it called? Your cruise control.
Yeah, see? This is it triggers a whole chain of events.
Okay.
But for you, that's fine. You like the popcorn.
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge too much. I still think it's insane because it's a unwieldy snack.
I don't take big handfuls like people do. I take one piece at a time.
Okay, that's the proper way, especially while driving.
I'm very established popcorn eater.
Dignified.
Yes, I've got a dignified royal way of eating popcorn. You don't take it by the fistful, you take it kernel by kernel.
But what about the cheesy popcorn? Do you ever get that? And then it leaves a cheese residue.
The black bag, the smart food, whatever.
Yeah, but I want to know what the royalty does with the cheesy powder.
Well, you
left
scrape it off with your teeth, don't you?
Is that what you do? You scrape
Or
it
you
off?
roll, if it's a warm day and it's not raining, you roll down your window and you roll it into little balls off your fingers. People think you've got to booger.
You wipe it on the royal robe, and then you have a dinner party, and it's just covered in cheese dust.
Yeah, but you're royalty, so no one's going to say anything.
No one would dare say
No,
a thing.
They didn't dare.
If anything, it would trigger off mimicry, and then everybody in the town, all the peasants, would have cheese dust covering them because the queen
They
did.
would take like white chalk and smear it on their clothes.
Yeah, because they couldn't afford the cheese
I've
dust.
set trend.
You can't afford the cheese dust. They use the chalk.
No, they can't afford the smart food.
But then as time goes
Cheddar
on,
popcorn.
yeah, as time goes on, and the revolution happens, and this cheese dust is affordable for all people
Oh,
of all classes.
my reign is over.
Well, the beef jerky. I think it's the only time I eat beef jerky. Just to build on what you were saying. I don't usually buy it, mostly because I like it, and then I see the price. I'm like, no, outrageous.
Yeah, it is expensive.
But then the rules change on the road.
Oh, yeah. Gambling with the scratch-offs. Do you like a scratch-off?
I worked for a radio station that gave away scratch-offs here in New York, and I was working in promotions at the time, so I kept a lot for myself. Well, legally, you promoted.
No, I'm jealous of you. I would have done the same thing. Like a little one for me.
Legally, you promoted on the air, and you give one away. You didn't say how many you were going to give away. Mm-hmm. And really, the New York Lottery just wanted the promotion. That's why they're giving you the tickets in the first place. So they get the number of ads, and then you do actually give some away. But I realize how much you really don't win. Like
I know
there's like hundreds of dollars. I'd scratch them off, and sometimes I'd break even. It's $100 profit.
Pretending that you put in money.
Yeah, there was no big winners. I know there are big winners out there, but with the scratch off, if you did get one of those big prizes, though, you ever think about this? If you got the big prize, you couldn't redeem it at the gas station, so you'd have to make a return trip to wherever that state was.
You have to either do it in the before you leave the gas station to if you want to go back and get the money, or you have to redeem it in the same state.
Yes,
you can't be leaving the state that soon. Like I have to do it in deep Virginia if I'm gonna.
You have to take it
to
wherever it goes. Don't some of them say mail it in? It's like, no way. This isn't good. If I had this is not leaving my hands.
I have a winner on it's for $1 on our refrigerator. That's for Atlanta. It's been there forever.
Well, at that point, it's more just a keepsake.
Yeah.
What are you going to... It's a free ticket, right?
It's one of those things where it's like, I'll bring it next time I'm in Atlanta. I've never brought it.
Because it's $1.
Yeah.
You get more out of it hanging on the fridge and looking at it and saying, yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, haven't I already won? I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. And then the last thing I was thinking about is obviously listening to music's important.
Oh, yeah.
If you're on the road trip. And if you're with another person, there's the possibility of fighting over it.
Yes, I asked if I could turn on Les Mis because I have the book of CDs still in my car. And I asked if I could turn that on since he was just reading his book because he didn't. He's like, just don't turn it up too loud.
So he shot it down. You're the driver, though. Do you abide by that rule? The driver gets to pick the music?
No, that we don't really run into that often. I don't know why, but we don't. I have run into that with other people, and I've been annoyed that I have to listen to something because I'm not driving.
I think, if it keeps you motivated to drive, that's why I would stick to that rule.
Right.
So you don't have to blast the air conditioner in your face or roll down the window because you're falling asleep. You got some music you're engaged with. I don't fall asleep.
I'm a good driver.
You're a robot. You're one of the best drivers out there.
My dad he was always the driver, like with his friends. He was always, making the long road trips. And whenever we took road trips as a family, he drove the whole time. I don't ever remember my mom switching with him. And I really do think I got that gene. Like I can drive forever. We drive overnight sometimes to get places instead of especially like with the kids. We've driven overnight 11 hours to Wisconsin before, and you're dead the next day. But I did it the whole time, and I
like the idea of the gene.
Yeah, I've got I say it. I have the driving gene.
Yeah, I was born with it. Not everyone's got the thing. I was lucky enough.
Yep.
It's a passive trait, but it came through with me. So not everyone does have this. That's why I should drive the car.
It's a blessing and a curse, honestly. I mean, to be this good, it's tough.
Yeah, you wouldn't understand though. You look from the outside, you think it's all glory. Mm-hmm. But think again.
Yep, you got to really shift your weight around on your butt.
Yes, so much butt shifting. That's why that's why the truckers get the fat butts, so they don't have to shift as much. You pad it out as much as possible. That's right. And then they have the skinny face and skinny upper body, and it's all like they're an upside down light bulb. And on that note, that's all I've got. So thanks for listening to this episode of One Topic. Again, I am Greg Russ. That is Autumn Fisher. Autumn, where can people find you? You can find us online on iTunes, on Podbean, on Spotify, on Stitcher. Just search for One Topic. And I'm everywhere on social media at AutoPritz, Pritts. Everywhere on social media. That is true. Mm-hmm. You do a search and I see all the accounts. And I am nowhere on social media, though I am on that other podcast, Usual Rejects. So I'm going to start promoting that. Good. So if you would like to listen, look up. Go over there. Yeah. Go over there and hit them up. Subscribe. And also leave us a rate and review us. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, on our own. You've listened to enough podcasts. The begging that comes along with this. Do that. Do that thing that's been embedded It's been injected into your consciousness forever. Rate and review.
Rate and review.
Help the podcast rate and review. Okay.
Subscribe.
Until next time, take care of yourselves. Buckle up. Don't text and drive.